Hey everyone, welcome back to Trekyards. He's Commander Cockins.
He's Captain Foley, and you did not mess me around with that. I ain't no freak today, Stuart. I'm right here, thinking and raring to go.
Well, you're kind of always a freak. You know, we both are, but that's okay. We have a ship, especially for us. That'll take us to a wonderful place, hopefully. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about the newest ship from Star Trek, at least lower decks, and that is the Osler, the Division 14 ship that takes freaks to the farm. And yeah, it's an interesting design, and it's an experimental ship. It's an NX. It's NX-75300.
And yes, NX normally means experimental, but I think in this case, it just refers to they made one, and it got used, and never made a second one. Given how banged up it is in the registry, I just don't think they ever went to production. So the NX-01, NX Excelsior, like these things tend to be recommissioned or a second version made. I think this was, you know, it's not a new ship. Let's just say that. So I would say it's, yeah, just never made a second one of.
Yeah. And it looks like something, honestly, out of Thunderbirds or maybe X-Men, maybe Battle of the Planets, G-Force. It looks like a weird ship that doesn't feel Star Trek-y.
Because you brought a ship to Trekyards which was exactly the same shape, and it were like separated in different ships, and it had like other little elements that came out of it, and it was one of your favorite ships ever. G-Force Phoenix, maybe. Yeah,
the Phoenix. I can see why you're saying that. It's
like
quite
the
different
head
than the Phoenix. Well, yeah, the front point is the same, but yeah, it's definitely something that doesn't feel Star Trek, especially with the glows. Like, explain to me why all the red glows on it.
Well, you need forward, top side, impulse engines.
And lots of bizarre collectors.
Yeah.
It does one of the tropes that I hate about ships. The antennas sticking out the front. Like every ship we look at on fleet yards. Ugh.
Okay, so for me, this ship is basically who cares? Because it's not trying to look Star Trek, Federation, Starfleet, anything. It's a unique one-off weird thing, which is the essence of the mission, with warp nacelles, which is what the universe uses to go faster than light. But it also comes through a vortex of purple. So is that FTL? Is that using some sort of weird... That's kind of what it feels like, but I think actually it's probably just they're just coming through a mission to see them. They're just, finding them somewhere because they've got warp engines, and this would be a very, 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 very odd thing for it to be able to do, even though it does also travel through... Oh, I don't know.
If it's a new type of FTL, it's shitty, and maybe that's why it's experimental, because the one guy says they've been on there for months. So if it is an FTL drive, not cool, because it's Star Trek. First of all, it should just be warp. But yeah, that question was brought up in my first reaction thing. Is the purple haze a new FTL drive, or is it just a nebula? I think it's just a nebula.
Yeah,
just to make it look scary and imposing like a haunted house, because it's got the lightning and stuff, right?
Yeah, I think they just met them somewhere, and then they continued. I mean, the whole ship is played with a level of ambiguity, which is incredibly intentional. So I am fine to give them the benefit of the doubt with everything here. That this is a old ship, repurposed. I mean, if you look at the corridors and the corridors even look kind of like Klingon stuff. It's super... whelming. It's neither under or overwhelming. And in fact, even there's a weird shot when the guy is running out of his quarters with a rifle, and the dog is pulling up the floor panels, and there's light underneath it. There's a light so very, very weird. And like the airlock just is literally just a Klingon design. There's nothing else to it. It's just, yeah. I mean, this is a very short episode, guys, because there's very little to say. It's a weird non-ship that's a ship that is 100% not Star Trek except the nacelles, which means 80% not Star Trek. But that's
You're totally right about it feeling Klingon, just because of the lighting and the shape of the corridor is more squat down, and even just the external shapes, actually. But you also pointed out something that I didn't notice, and that is it is an older ship based on the scuffing on the registry and the door. The caution Starfleet medical quarantine door and that hallway, it's clearly not a new ship. So... it's been around the block a few times, and that door though feels very Klingon. I never really considered that until you mentioned it, but I'm seeing all the Klingon.
Which in itself, I mean, it would be fine to say this was a Klingon help design. I mean, you can imagine that who's better to I mean, the thing about the concept of the ship is that it's ferrying people with extremely bizarre medical conditions. Now, in Star Trek, often those things happen to lead to violence because the person either goes crazy. I mean, Kirk in one of the earliest episodes of TOS, the angry Kirk, he's a danger. And so to assume everyone here is just a nice freak that just wants to go to a nice place, whatever. I mean, they do riot pretty quickly, obviously 6 months in, but in the story. And so you want a ship that actually is slightly a prison as well, and you treat each person as a person. But if the person is needs the treatment but also needs the security, then yeah. So who better to design a internal prison ship slightly than the Klingons? So I can imagine maybe it's slightly a Klingon helper. The registry, if you use registry as a chronological, which it isn't. It tends to be mostly, but it has exceptions to the rule, so it's not a rule. It's just a, well, I guess the rule is those have exceptions. Although, as we know, ships take years to develop, so it might be commissioned with a registry earlier and then delayed, repurposed, whatever. So, but the registry is slightly pre-Voyager, so that gives you a sense, or sorry, post-Voyager, sorry, but very slightly. So if that is taken into account, it's already sort of 25 years old. If it's not already been, and it's an NX, so it could be even earlier, etc., etc. So yeah, for me, this is obviously like an older ship, just a super weird one, and clearly without really specific function. Because if it's just ferrying people, like we never get, and I was kind of waiting for this, a mad scientist laboratory or weird, the balls. Look, he's experimenting on people. No, all we can see is 2 rooms and a corridor and a ramp and an airlock. So it's just a ferry ship with awful lighting.
Yeah, and I hate the fact that it's a one-room kind of quarantine thing. Like, you'd think that these people that have undergone these situations where they might consider themselves freakish won't want to be, seen by everybody. They should have their own quarters where they can turn on the lights. I love how that's mentioned later, too. Maybe we should paint the ship brighter colors and turn on the lights so it's less scary.
Yeah. I mean, you can see in the room that they are in, there are medical beds, so it is a medical-esque, just without any purpose, as in being actively used. And I do like the note, though, that she can take the dog for a walk, the door isn't locked. So there's lots of weird mixed messages in this episode for this part of the scenes, which is super intentional, obviously. But yeah, certainly. And I said in a previous review that perhaps he sees light in a different way to humans. So for him, this is a very normal style of lighting, and he's just kind of got so used to it over time that oh, you want more lights? This is fine. I was like, dude, it's pitch black with red bright lights. Oh, okay, sorry, beep beep. Oh, so there's it's slightly weird contextual, but even looking at his office, like he's got guns behind him and then Tron on the floor, and it's like this is just weird. So it's a weird ship. I would love to hear the thought behind it. I don't think there's much thought behind it, and I think it was vague on purpose, and I'm okay with it in this one context.
I really love the Klingon thing that you said. Now that you said that, I can't unsee it with the corridors. But wow, maybe it's an Indosian design. We've never seen what the Indosian ships look like, so there you go.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not Starfleet; it's just Federation with technology of with refit nacelles that are based on slightly the Cerritoses in terms of the grilling, and the rest of the ship is completely original.
And it should be pointed out, too, that on the side where it has the registry and the name, it says the name, but it does not at all say USS, which makes me think that it's not a USS, so maybe not Starfleet, or not, I don't know. There's got to be some kind of distinction there, I think.
So not Federation, just Starfleet?
Or the other way around, Federation, but not Starfleet.
But NX would still be Starfleet, though, because it's been given a... Well,
I don't know.
Well, no, you can have, like, the Janolan would still be NCC, but would it be USS Janolan? I mean, that one was, but I'm sure there are other... Basically, it's a bit weird, and it's meant to be a bit weird, But hey, at least it wasn't, we didn't hear that it has 45 quantum launchers, and we saw visible phases, and, it was ambiguous rather than weirdly, explicitly, whatever,
Yeah. Anyway, doesn't feel Star Trek-y to me. Sorry. Just doesn't. But we're interested in what you guys think as well. So put your comments down below as to what you think about this design. What does it say to you specifically? This seems almost more like a Section 31 ship to me, as far as its weird configuration and just kind of militaristicness. It almost feels like a military vehicle, like the strike cruiser.
But I am thankful it wasn't Section 31 and it wasn't that level.
Yes.
So I do
am as
appreciate
well.
that.
Absolutely. Yeah. But let us know your thoughts, guys. What did you think? And be sure to like the video, share the video around with anybody you think would like to talk about this ship or see it, because we would love to share the Trekyards goodness. And speaking of, make sure you're subscribed as well. We got a great channel. We do lots of great videos. And if you can click the notification bell icon to all, that helps us out, helps you out, and you don't miss any of our lives or other good stuff that we do, which we do quite often.
And if you want to join those lives and say hi to us, you can in the chat, HI, or if you want us to read it out and say hi there, Trekyards, and say something else, super chat is a great way. Any amount from like $1 to $1,000, I'm sure there's a way of doing that, supports us and allows us to keep doing this, because we do so much content each and every week for you guys for free. That's important to us, but we do need your direct support, and we managed to keep a fine line of doing okay. And if you want to be part of the guys that help us go over that line to being okay, thank you so much, then do. Or Patreon, that's another great way. We rely on that a lot. That's a big deal for us. Or join the channel, same as Patreon, but a direct way of YouTube. PayPal as well, direct. We get all the money and it goes towards expenses or kit and such. That's trekyards@hotmail.com. That's the PayPal. Any all ways do help. But as Stuart said, the free ways are also really nice, really helpful. And just comment, say what you think.
That's right. So until next time, where maybe we'll have another ship, or you're just joining one of our lives where we have lots to talk about. Until then, I'm Captain Foley.
And I'm Connor Combs. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.